Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria, with my co-host and daughter,
Dr. Heidi Horsley. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Heids. We're going to have a very interesting show today because we're going to talk a little bit about signs and synchronicity and miracles and things that happen for people after they've had a loss. So let's get started, and why don't you introduce our guest?
Okay, Mom. Our guest today is Sherry Cassedy, and Sherry has a law degree and a master's degree in philosophy through her classes in offering spiritual guidance and seasonal retreats on spiritual topics. And she has also been on our television show, and you can watch her there. Welcome to the show, Sherry.
Thank you.
Oh, Sherry, it's so great to have you on, and thank you for also being one of our Open to Hope authors, so people can go to the website and read more things than you've written, so that's great.
Well, my husband and I have been married for 35 years, and we have 3 children. Tyler's 34, and Cassedy will be 30 next week. And our youngest son, Timmy, we lost in 2010, in April of 2010. He was 20 years old, and he was a student at UC Santa Cruz and had a skateboarding accident that night coming back from a party, and took a very hard fall in the dark on pavement, and he lost consciousness right away, but we were able to be with him in the hospital, and the next morning they declared him brainstem death, but we stayed with him. He stayed in his body, or his body stayed alive for another few days while they preserved the organs for an organ donation. So it was obviously very traumatic loss, and we've been on this journey now for 4.5 years of working to understand and just process our own grief. And when I say our, I mean my husband and myself, as well as our 2 older children, and we've really worked together to support each other and kind of see how our griefs, our separate griefs, kind of unfold, giving each other space and support as well.
Well, let me first say I am so sorry about your son. And you were kind of on the spiritual path before he died, weren't you?
Yeah, I really was. And the spiritual journey was really a priority in my life at that point 4 years ago. But then when Timmy died, it just became even more urgent and compelling in terms of really trying to make sense of what our life is about, what happens when we leave our bodies, what the afterlife, if there is such a thing, is about. So
it's such a traumatic freak accident that happened to you. I mean, this kid was in the prime of his life and hits his head skateboarding. My heart goes out to you about that. The other thing I wanted to say was it's such a beautiful thing that he donated his organs, and that as a result, of unfortunately his loss, all these people were given a new lease on life. And I love that story.
And that was one of the connections. We've taken the time to reach out to the people who received his organs. 4 men from age 28 to 66 received organs from Timmy, and it's been interesting to meet them and incorporate them sort of in our extended family, clearly their gratitude at having received the gift of life from Timmy.
Mm-hmm. We're going to talk a little bit about miracles and synchronicity.
I think this is such a great quote that, we can live our lives as though everything is a miracle or nothing is. But the fact that it also comes from Einstein, who's really kind of the pinnacle of the rational mind, the scientist, and that even coming from that kind of a perspective, that he can see the magic and see the miracles in life. And I think that, in a time of grief, when there's so much darkness, we do have these openings, and things happen in time when these natural occurrences happen at a time that's really poignant for us. So that even with a very rational mind, Einstein could see that. And what I wanted to kind of talk with you about today was that whole phenomenon, and that we have some of these kind of magical moments. And for me, they feel like connections with Timmy that culturally and then personally we tend to kind of push them away or resist them or dismiss them. And I think that, part of that is just our vulnerability in being in deep grief. There's sadness, and sometimes there's fear and anger, and that may cause us to shut down. I just started writing for the Open to Hope website, and that was just a couple weeks ago. I wrote my first article, and I've been meaning to do this since we did the TV spot in June, so it's been 4 or 5 months since I've been in touch with you. And I wrote the article, and I'm going to go on and post it, and I opened my web browser to go into the Open to Hope website to post my first article, and I have an email from Gloria.
Right.
Who I haven't talked with or been in touch with for 4 or 5 months, and right at that moment the email appears. So it's kind of silly, but I pay attention to those things, so I'm thinking, okay, so I think this is encouragement from the universe that I am supposed to submit this article and kind of get more focused on sharing some of my experience. But I think these things happen, and they're powerful.
And you know what? I think if I had written them down since Scott died, there have been a lot of synchronicities. But you kind of say, oh, you notice, and then you kind of pass on. But it kind of lifts your day.
As we pay attention, they tend to happen more.
I mean, how many times have all of us thought of somebody and they call, or something like that?
Or thought we were going to see somebody, and all of a sudden we run into them.
Yeah, exactly.
The divine signs I think of as basically they're natural phenomenon, things that happen in nature all the time naturally. The butterflies or dragonflies flitting about, or rainbows, waterfalls, or the way clouds form in the sky and how they pass. I've seen so many heart-shaped stones in the last 4 years, I can't tell you. It seems like when I walk the beach, every stone is shaped like heart, which I had never, kind of paid attention to before. But so they're naturally occurring phenomenon, but sometimes they happen in a dramatic way, and they happen at a time that is really powerful. So, for example, we have some dear friends who lost their son when he was just 4 years old. They had just visited us here in Kauai, and then he passed away a few months later, very suddenly, very tragically. So many years later, they decided to come back to Kauai, the two of them, and visit. So as they came in and we greeted them in our home, we looked out to the horizon, and there was this incredible, brilliant double rainbow. And it just felt that this was for their son and our son, and the four of us standing here together. It was a natural phenomenon for sure, but it's the first time I had ever seen even that kind of a rainbow here in Kauai. I mean, some of the things that happen, they do just absolutely give you chills. But part of the reason to give the examples is because it does give credence to our experience. In January, after Timmy had died, so it was about 9 months after he had died, there was a business meeting in San Francisco, and I thought, well, I should go, it's been long enough, I can go to this meeting. So I drove the hour up to San Francisco and went to this meeting. It's at some ritzy hotel, and the restaurant in the hotel is called Zingaro's. I've never been there before. So we have this professional kind of social meeting, and I'm totally not engaged. I'm feeling really low. Nobody's kind of acknowledging what's happening for me, and I left there just feeling terrible. Went home, just sad all night long, tossing and turning, just feeling completely miserable. And then during the night, I was thinking, oh, gosh, we're going to Portland tomorrow. It's going to be cold. I don't want to go. That weekend, the 49ers were in the playoffs in January, so I thought, I know, I'll pull out Timmy's 49er jacket. It hadn't been taken out of the closet in the 9 months since he had died, but I thought that'll be perfect because I'll be warm and cozy. It's 49ers, and it's Timmy. It'll be perfect. So when I got up in the morning, I go to the closet, pull out this jacket that has not been touched for 9 months, put it on, cuddle into it, reach into the pocket, and there's a matchbook there. and it's from Zingaro's. Look at it. It's like, no, this can't be. But no, it's the same restaurant, the same address.
It's been 30 years since Scott died, and Heidi came to visit us recently, and one of the kids that was there, other grandkids too, were in a golf cart, and she says, I'm golfing with him, and she says, Grandma, I just found something on the ground, and she picks it up, and it's a dime. We find lots of dimes, and then we go to the golf shop, and my husband, who's a total skeptic, tell that.
Well, we just went around the corner, and there, lo and behold, again, it was a really shiny dime. They were both 2014 dimes, and it was right on the ground again. And I was like, okay, this is so. I'm like, Dad, look. And we all looked at it. It was just very strange. We find them all the time in very random, strange places.
Cabs in New York City on the seat.
They're just dimes. They're,
right.
But they appear at times that are really important.
So does everybody have to believe in my signs, Sherry? Can I enjoy them anyway? Can I have them personally if people are skeptical?
Absolutely. And I think that one, it may be something that we want to protect and kind of hold close to our heart and not necessarily share with a lot of people, because we don't want to hear other people dismissing it or interpreting it or rationalizing it away. When we decide to share them, I think that we just need to be careful who we share with, and it's not about convincing anyone, because we hold that meaning in our own heart, and it doesn't really matter if other people see it or believe it. And we have to recognize that we do live in a culture that is very rational and dismisses the magical.
Right.
But it's a really powerful source of comfort and consolation. Whether you believe that it is a message from beyond, a connection to the loved one, it just has to make you smile.
Right.
When you see that dime in the most unlikely place at the most perfect time, it just has to make you smile.
Right, exactly, yeah. And so maybe very early on it may make you cry too, but later on it does give you more of a smile. So let's just kind of give people a couple of tips about noticing signs.
I think that it's mostly just about paying attention and just being, having your eyes open, and then it's just noticing it. And as we've talked about before, every grief is unique, and everyone is entitled, absolutely, to sort of take their grief journey as they will. But I would just encourage people to be open to the possibility, and then take it for what it is for them.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for being a miracle in our life. We really have enjoyed meeting you and look forward to our future friendship through Open to Hope.
Well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me and for the synchronicity of this morning.
Thanks, Sherry. Keep doing what you're doing and enjoy Hawaii.
Well, Heidi, interesting show. So I want to recap a little bit that people need to pay attention, keep their eyes open, and notice things around you, and have it as your own experience. Not everyone has to, believe in it. And plus, sometimes you don't want other people interpreting it for you. Some of these things can be a little sacred for us, don't you think, Heidi?
Absolutely, and I think it can be so comforting when we do have signs, because we really want to know and kind of believe that the person that died is at peace right now, and that they're in a place of peace. And I think signs kind of reassure us that is the case.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're amazing and they're fun.
Yeah, they are. Well, thanks for listening to our show today. And Heidi and I want to remind you that if you've lost hope, lean on ours till you find your own. And God bless.
This show's been brought to you by the Open to Hope Foundation, helping people find hope after loss. Be sure to visit Dr. Gloria and Dr. Heidi at opentohope.com, where you can listen to radio programs, read articles, and view books. You can also join them on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks for watching, and remember, others have been there and made it, and you can too.